healthcare bill.
Plus, we are looking at a pretty decent evening ahead as the rain clears on out. Unfortunately, we've got some heat to get through. We'll break it down in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And after an 8-month break, Iceland's volcanoes erupt again. We take you there.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities investigate a body found in southwest Missouri and believe it could be a woman missing from Alba, Missouri since mid-July. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the Jasper County Sheriff's Department opens an investigation after finding a woman's body in a vehicle in a rural part of the county. Authorities say the body was found around 3 Wednesday afternoon near Civil War and Pine Road near an abandoned farmhouse in Carytown. Detectives say a vehicle was found behind the farmhouse with the body inside. It's believed to be the missing Alba, Missouri woman, Michelle Stone. Authorities do not suspect foul play. However, the investigation is ongoing. Well, lightning strikes an Evergreen Utilities electric substation in Fort Scott, Kansas yesterday, sparking a fire and knocking out power to 2,500 customers. Crews had the fire extinguished by 11 p.m. and this morning a little more than 500 homes still remained in the dark. But according to Evergreen's website, power is now restored to everyone within city limits. Well, we've got sunshine after a morning of showers. Chris Warner joins us with the first look at the forecast.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad to see some rain and even some thunderstorms this morning, but they are on their way on out of here, as you can see. And here's the deal. Right behind them is a sharp cutoff in the clouds, which means the sun is building in behind these things. And that's why we have heat advisories for some of us in southeast Kansas, because it's going to get hot. In fact, it's starting to warm up quite nicely for some of us in southeast Kansas where the rain's been out for a while. Drought situation not improving. Keep an eye on this map as we continue to see any potential changes in that. Hopefully this rain helps a little bit, but we are still, a lot of us, in that extreme drought situation. So on the temperatures, 81 in Joplin. That's actually where we were at 5 a.m. And then the rain came through and dropped that by about 10 degrees. And now it's back up again, and it'll continue to rise. And you can see back here to the north, where the rain has already cleared out, temperatures are already warming back into the mid-80s for a lot of us, and that trend will continue. A quick look into the future. There may be an isolated storm or two later today, but otherwise it's going to be all right. It's going to be pretty clear, too, as you can see. English is not my first language sometimes. Partly cloudy skies is what we're expecting as we head through the day. And as you saw, temperatures will warm into the mid-90s. We'll get there by about 3, 4 o'clock today. They'll get down to 81 by midnight, but we're still going to have a pretty decent night overall with lows in the upper 60s to lower 70s. We'll take a more in-depth look at your forecast here in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, the Senate is working on one of President Biden's key legislative priorities, a spending bill that addresses a number of issues. Democrats hope to pass the bill before they leave town for their August recess. Natalie Brand has the latest from Capitol Hill.
President Biden is pushing the Senate to deliver what would be a huge win for his agenda, a $740 billion breakthrough bill to address climate change and health care costs. Democrats say it would be the single biggest climate investment in U.S. history.
The reviews from the inflation experts and the climate experts are all saying that this bill will have a major impact in both areas.
The bill is dubbed the Inflation Reduction Act, but Republicans argue it will do the opposite.
You look at electricity costs, you look at gasoline costs, you look at food costs, none of that is going to be addressed or dealt with by big fat tax increases on companies in this country that create jobs, because we all know that's going to get passed on.
With no GOP support, the Senate Majority Leader needs all Senate Democrats on board in order to pass the measure through the budget reconciliation process. After striking a deal with West Virginia's Joe Manchin last week, Democrats still need to win over Senator Kyrsten Sinema. There are reports she's pushing back on one of the proposed tax provisions to scale back an existing tax break known as carried interest for investment fund managers. The Arizona Democrat also wants more money for drought programs.
We'll be exchanging texts back and forth, and that she's always been that. She's extremely bright, she works hard, she makes a good decision based on facts, and I'm relying on that.
Key elements of the legislation include major investments in climate, tax credits for clean energy, a provision to allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices, and tax revenue raised by a 15% corporate minimum tax. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The Senate parliamentarian still has not ruled on whether the Inflation Reduction Act complies with the Byrd Rule, which determines what can be included in the budget reconciliation process. Well, airfares have gone sky high in recent months, and airlines have been shrinking the size of their seats for years. And now the FAA is asking for public feedback on the size and safety of airline seats. 4 years ago, Congress ordered the FAA to set new standards to ensure passengers can evacuate any airliner in 90 seconds or less. Well, a judge in Russia sentences American basketball star Brittany Griner to 9 years in prison for drug possession and smuggling. Griner reacted to the sentence with little emotion and listened to the verdict with a blank stare on her face. Attention now turns to the possibility of a high-stakes prisoner swap with an imprisoned Russian who was once a prolific arms dealer. Under the proposed deal, Griner and Paul Whelan, an American imprisoned in Russia on an espionage conviction, would go free. Well, now to images the world has been waiting to see. The first grain ship to leave Ukraine since Russia started its war nearly 6 months ago. It's a crucial step in the worldwide fight against hunger. Last year, Ukraine provided 10% of all the wheat in the world. This ship is headed to Lebanon carrying 26,000 tons of corn. Ukrainian authorities say at least 17 more grain ships are stuck in their ports, blockaded by Russia since February when the invasion began. And it's deja vu in Iceland, where a massive volcano is erupting once again not far from where it blew last year. About 10,000 earthquakes ushered in the latest sound and light show just outside the capital city. Fountains of lava are shooting up to 100 feet in the air, drawing thousands of tourists. Known as the land of fire and ice, Iceland has 32 active volcanoes, the highest number in Europe. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon.
Some popular midsize cars aren't making the grade in new side crash tests. I'm Elise Preston with a look at the surprising results.
And later, we're making chicken spare ribs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety tested its latest batch of vehicles against a taller, heavier, and faster barrier like the trucks and SUVs out on the road today. As Elise Preston reports, some of the most popular cars in the country didn't fare so well.
Midsize cars struggled against the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's tougher side crash test. The Institute put 7 popular passenger cars to the test, which is now a 4,200-pound barrier striking the driver's side at 37 miles per hour.
Part of our redesign of the barrier was to emulate the pickup trucks and the large SUVs that are out there in the real world that are the striking vehicles in many of these crashes.
In this test group, only the Subaru Outback earned a good rating. 3 cars received poor ratings. Structure was particularly compromised on 2 of those models, and in all 3, there was a likelihood of injury.
Either one or both of the female dummies' heads slipped below the side curtain airbag and struck the windowsill.
IIHS says one reason for the group's disappointing performance is the lower ride height. But President David Harkey is confident automakers will respond.
All of these vehicles had good ratings in our original side test. I have no doubt that they will get to a point that they will get them back to having a good rating in our updated side test.
The Institute plans to test smaller passenger cars and smaller pickup trucks to see how well they protect passengers. Elise Preston, CBS News.
Well, starting next year, a good rating will be needed to meet the Institute's criteria for top safety pick. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
When it comes to planning dinner, there are 3 things most of us look for. Any ideas for what they are?
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
We saw some nice rain and thunderstorms early this morning and through the mid-morning too, which, like I said, it was great to see. It was so wonderful to get more rain. It's not enough to really kick the drought out, but rain in any form is beneficial. Now you can see behind the rain, skies are clearing. If you are behind the set of rain we had this morning, you got sunny skies. And as a result, we're starting to warm back up. And unfortunately, the one downfall to the rain is it left it pretty muggy behind. So it's 81 in Joplin, but it feels like it's 86 degrees. And you can see where the rain is still working its way out because it's cooler. This morning, it was the other side. Now it's this side. And back behind the rain, we're already warming into the mid-80s. The 8 centers, Chanute, Iola, already getting up there, and everyone else will follow. And then those dew points, thanks to the rain, look at some of these numbers. They're all in the 70s, and that's an uncomfortable situation. We're in that muggy to soupy range from all the moisture in the air, and it's feeling muggy and soupy outside as well. Heat index values about 5 to 6 degrees above the actual temperature in most locations. Now, as we go through the rest of the day, we will still warm up to about 96. Believe it or not, we're still going to warm up. Now that the sun's out, it's going to heat up fast. Down to 93 by 6, 90 by 8, 84 by 10, and 81 by midnight. And then we'll all have at least a decent night. Upper 60s for some of us in southeast Kansas and lower 70s for everyone else. Skywatch Storm Tracker shows those storm showers and everything. You can see as they started to fall apart. And they're tracking to the south. And you see behind them, though, there's a sharp cutoff on those clouds. It's not like we get sometimes where we get a good batch of rain and then there's just this mass of clouds behind it. There's a sharp cutoff, and that's why the skies are clearing so quickly. Now, we do have heat advisories in portions of southeast Kansas, and they go until, that's out of date, my apologies, but they go until tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Because it's going to be hot again tomorrow. We'll talk about that too. So over the next 24 hours, you can see where hot tomorrow starts to kick in. We do have a decent night, clear going into tomorrow, but heating up fast. So let's talk about the future. So as we head into the rest of today, again, it's going to be nice and toasty warm. It's going to be hot, just like it should be in the middle of summer. You can see by early tomorrow morning, we may see a scattered storm pop up or maybe even a shower here or there. Most of us are going to remain dry. It's not going to be like it was today. And same with tomorrow. Maybe a pop-up storm or two, but otherwise, the majority of us are going to stay dry, and those temperatures are going to shoot right up there, where we're going to be pushing the mid to upper 90s in some cases across the area. Once that clears out, again, we're into a situation where we've got these pop-up storms that we may see. But again, it's one of those situations, too, where the majority of us are going to remain dry. The other problem is these are heat index values just later tonight, pushing 100 degrees across the area. And as we head into tomorrow, they're going to be pushing upwards of 105, hence why that heat advisory is in effect. Going into Saturday, still in the lower 100s, which goes into, there's a chance we could see more heat advisories coming our way. So again, through the rest of the day, another hot one, and into tonight, it's going to be nice. So let's talk about the 7-day real quick. Once we get through this cool day, if you could call it that, compared to what we've seen, highs are going to be pushing back toward the 100s again, heading into the weekend. Do have some chances of some rain, maybe some thunderstorms Monday and Tuesday, but otherwise hot and dry for most of us for the next several days. So I hope you enjoyed the rain, because as it moves out, that's it for a little bit.
I don't know if we got enough, though. That's the problem.
Well, we've got Lake KOAM outside. We've got this area that fills with water anytime it rains.
True.
And I checked on it, and despite all the rain, because it rained pretty good here, despite all that rain, ground soaked it all up.
It needed it.
It needed it that badly, because usually we just get a little rain, Lake KOAM fills up, and you go fishing. But this time, no, it dried it all up. So we still need a lot more rain to get the ground back to where it should be.
Enough to continue growing those weeds out there we need to mow.
Well, somebody gets to mow them.
Well, I don't mean
here. Is it your turn?
I meant my weeds.
Oh, your weeds.
Not here.
Okay. I'm going to say, is it your turn again to mow outside?
No, it's yours this time.
Well, see, I'm lucking out because there's nothing to mow right now.
There you go. All right, thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's 4th-state hero, Private First Class Roy Dionier in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Saracoxie, Missouri, joined the Battery D 411th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Gun Battalion in 1942. During World War II, he earned a number of honors, among them the American Service Ribbon and 4 Bronze Stars. To Private Roy Dionier, we thank you, our 4th-state hero. Well, if you're a fan of Chinese food, you're going to love Howard's twist on traditional pork spare ribs. Instead, we're making chicken spare ribs in the Mr. Food test kitchen.
When it comes to planning dinner, there are 3 things most of us look for. Something that doesn't take too long to make, something that's going to taste amazing, and last but not least, something that's not going to break the bank. So today, we're making a dish that tastes like pricey spare ribs, but actually starts with boneless chicken thighs, which are very budget friendly. We start by browning some boneless, skinless chicken thighs in a skillet with a bit of oil. The key here is to make sure the skillet is hot so the chicken gets nice and browned. While they're doing their thing, we make an Asian barbecue sauce by mixing together some water, soy sauce, ketchup, and cider vinegar. Now, to give it even more flavor, we mix in some brown sugar, chopped garlic, and ground ginger. We give this a stir and pour it over our brown chicken. We let them simmer, turning them every once in a while so they soak up all that flavor-packed sauce. We'll thicken this up by adding a combo of cornstarch and water. Then these guys are ready to serve. Maybe serve this over some rice so you don't leave behind any of that sticky flavor-packed sauce. To get the recipe for what we call chicken spare ribs, all you need to do is visit our website. Believe me, I know you'll be glad you did. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a no bones about it way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Looks like a good try. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
After the morning rain, it is still going to get hot today. Temperatures pushing into the mid-90s, and as we head through the weekend, we're looking at the upper 90s, pushing near 100. But we might see some rain chances at the start of next week, and it's something we certainly need around the area. This rain's still not enough to really make a dent in the drought, so more rain we can get, the better.
Absolutely. And it's maybe close, but there's no triple-digit highs on there, so that's promising.
Not at this time. I mean, hopefully, maybe we can keep into just the upper 90s instead of pushing 100 degrees.
This is crazy. I'm happy about only seeing 99 degrees. What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a couple of months ago, a boating accident and a 5-year-old boy underwater for 12 minutes. From doctors to the power of community, we're going to check on that boy's miracle recovery. Plus, the Rafa House Survivor Care Director presents data to UN delegates about tools to assess trauma survivors from trafficking situations. And Marion Days is back in full swing this year. Tens of thousands of people visiting Carthage, Missouri this week. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.